here we are back again talking about the Pittsburgh music scene, where it's been and where it's going. And with us here today, once again, Chip Dominick. And we were going to talk a little bit about what's been going right and what maybe needs room for improvement. Chip, your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, there is so much going right. I mean, we in the last segment we talked about the festivals, which are huge, and I hope they never go away. I hope there's only more of them and more opportunities for us musicians. So that's a big thing that's going right. Also, radio, playing a lot of local music. It's the support has been great. And we're seeing local music bleed into other areas of Pittsburgh culture. You know, for example, every Friday night during the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball games on television, they play local music to highlight montages. So that's awesome. And those are just a couple of examples of what's going right. And, none of this would really be possible without the fans, embracing it, coming to shows, telling their friends about it, spread the word on social media. And so all of those things are going just extremely well, better than I've ever seen during my time playing music here in the Burgh.
And once again, it is a groundswell. People are excited. People are hungry for change. They want this new music out there. They want the local people to be recognized. They're tired of the norm, and now it's saturated in our local media. And now we're at a point where we can't ignore it. It's everywhere. So we're at a point right now where it's about to, and I said this before in the prior episode, it's about to pop. The bubble is about to burst, and we're all aware of it. And I know that every other state is doing the same thing. So someone somewhere is listening. They're listening very intently. And they were like, ooh, we better do something about this. We better start endorsing this because a change is going to happen. And it's going to happen for the better. And that's something that is the positive aspect about this entire local music scene. Now, what about improvements? What are some things we can do to improve?
Well, I think the number one thing that I would like to see is more all-ages venue opportunities.
I agree with that 100%. 100%.
There are some great venues that do provide all-ages events. Mr. Small's Funhouse is one, Black Forge Coffee House, Ham Bones, but there aren't a whole lot of others beyond that, and that's kind of concerning. Like, the Pittsburgh music scene is doing great now, but music fans are a shifting demographic. When we talk about the music scene, late-age teenagers, early 20-somethings, they are going to be moving on, and they need to be replaced with equally or more passionate music fans. So
Agreed.
We need to make sure that we have a succession plan, like who's going to be 18, who's going to be 21 in 4 years. Well, the people that are 14 now, we need to start cultivating them as music fans and getting them access to local music. I always think about who are the people that are waiting in line at Stage AE hours before a concert, or waiting in line hours before a concert at Mr. Small's or the Rex Theaters or so forth. Well, a lot of it is 14-year-old girls. So if those are the people that support national acts that come to town, that means they're a pretty ripe market for loving local music too. We got to make sure we have venues that have their doors open to the under 21 crowd, so they can be just as excited about supporting local music as they are about supporting national music.
I agree, and that harkens back to a time when I was in high school. We would always go to a place in the South Hills called the Lithuanian Club, and that's where you would go every weekend to see a band, because it was just a Lithuanian club that let you in. There wasn't alcohol involved or anything like that. You would just go in and see the band. You would pay the cover. You'd see the bands play all night. I remember I saw a band called Bungee Jambo there.
Yeah, I remember them.
A long time ago. And that's when it was really inexpensive to make 45 records. And I remember watching them and just being amazed that a band called Shale played there. And I hope somebody listening still has these recordings, because I lost everything that I had from all the moves I've done. But I would, if you have those, please send them in. I would love to hear them. I would love to put them on the show, just for nostalgia factor alone. But I guess what I'm saying is, when it was a different time, there were so many places that you could go see a band that was all ages. Or it was whatever. You could just go in and watch the band. You'd pay the cover. I guess it was $5 then. And you'd stay there, and you just walk home from where you were. And it was a good time. And now you don't have that. You don't have that anymore. And the reason being is that a lot of the venues, they're bars, and they want to make their money. And if they don't make their money, then they're not happy, and you're not playing. I remember the Upstage in Oakland that no longer exists. The Upstage in Oakland, they would have an all ages, and what they would do is they would give it a wrist bracelet to those that were underage, and they had to stay in one area, and behind this caged off section, that was the overage crowd that could go in and get a cup of beer or something like that. So they kind of had it figured out, I guess. I don't know if you're listening, bar owners, club owners, do something like that. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the laws are. Certainly there are venues that when they have national concerts, they do things like that. Separating or allowing underage people in with a parent or guardian or whatever. If there's a way to do that, it's great. But the bottom line comes to we gotta think of the future. And this, you mentioned about the venues being bars and the bars needing to make money. Totally understand that. What people got to understand is that these bar owners, they may have gotten into the business because they have a passion for music, but if you're going to pay the rent or the mortgage on a bar or on a venue, you got to have some sales to make some money to do that. And so what started out as a passion may relegate itself to a business at that point. And, obviously, I totally respect everyone's time's valuable. They want to, if they're going to take the risk, do the work to have a venue, they deserve to be making a decent paycheck. So they have to do that. But also on the business side is that kind of that, growing your clientele, serving your clientele of today, but also building your clientele of tomorrow. So that's where, the people who go to a venue who are, 18 or 19 now on a night where it's an all ages show, when they are old enough to go and drink, they may return to that place on a over 21 night, to get their drink on. So
right, and now you're making more money,
right?
Because now they've come back.
Yeah. So I think that what maybe the scene had suffered from in the past is just short-term thinking. Bar owners or venue owners could only serve their customers of today, but they also need to think about, the customers of the future. And unfortunately, I think that's why we see a lot of those venues disappearing. Even the venues we've considered iconic is because they just, they thought like business people, but they thought short term like business people, and they didn't think long term. And thinking of, who is going to be their clientele 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. So I think that's a big thing. And I think if we can appeal to the venue owners and say, this is what you can do not only to support the scene, but also to keep your business sustainable so that you're still in business, 5-10 years down the road, and not like the decades and the graffitis and the 31st Street pubs and the altar bars where they were successful, but only for so long.
Right. And it's the short-sightedness of the businesses at that point. If we can bring back the idea, or if we can bring back an idea of a venue that was like the Lithuanian Club when I was growing up, and just have a club that's all ages at all times and just don't have alcohol, then you're good. Mm-hmm. Then everybody wins.
Now, I wonder if a thing like that, like, did someone rent out the Lithuanian Club? Like, did the Lithuanian Club or its owners or its board, were they the ones putting on the show, or did someone rent it for those weekends and just put on the shows themselves?
You know what? I was so young, I never even considered the thought of that. I only knew that we're seeing bands and it's great and we're playing in front of people. Like, that's the only thing I ever thought of. But you know what? If I think about it, I would assume that the club owner of that Lithuanian club, I'm sure that he took a cut of whatever was made by the door, if he was smart, and, gave a third to the bands. I don't know. I mean, it's something to think about, something to consider.
Because there's ethnic clubs and fire halls in almost every community.
Right.
Not all of them, I think, would be acoustically sound for a rock show, but maybe that's if we had a few members in various communities who just wanted to take the chance on live music and rent out the halls for a weekend and put on some rock shows and open it up to people under 21.
Right.
Could only help.
And how many VFWs are on every block that are just screaming for members? Everybody's dying off. No one's going. Masonic halls, Masonic temples. It's a golden opportunity, and it's right there. And that's all they really have to do is just go back to whoever that guy was that was the Lithuanian Club. Just do what he did. Everybody's winning. You're making money. The kids are seeing rock. The kids are playing rock. It's just a full circle of greatness for the community.
Yeah, I mean, as we're seeing, like with the festivals and everything, the demand is there for live music.
It is.
If you put live music out there and you curate it with good talent, and there's plenty of good talent in Pittsburgh, and you market it well, it's going to be successful for all.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back next time for this special episode of the Pittsburgh Music Scene. How did we get here? On the Steel Plaza podcast.